From the early days of players like Francis Deco and Michael Wusu to the modern Right to Dream Academy stars like Mohamed Kudus and Enes Nuamah, Denmark and Sweden have quietly become one of the most consistent gateways for Ghanaian players into Europe. Now, here's the thing. There's a long history of Ghanaians in Scandinavian countries, Denmark and Sweden to be specific. And as I mentioned, they have one of the highest concentrations of Ghanaian footballers in Europe for over maybe the past 2 decades. Even before the current generation, Ghanaian and Ghanaian heritage players were already building careers in Scandinavian football. Some examples include Prince Nanatichi. He played for Danish clubs, including Akademisk Bold Club in the early 2000s, and was once named Best African Footballer in Denmark. And then there's Daniel Acquah, a Danish-born winger of Ghanaian descent, who also played for Copenhagen and won the Danish Superliga. Then there's Francis Deco, a Ghanaian-based defender who also played for the Black Stars after the 2006 World Cup. Over the years, many Ghanaian professionals have also passed to the Scandinavian League because I think that they offer easier work permit than England and other clubs. There's also stability to develop young players, and it's most often than not a stepping stone into bigger European leagues. And for Ghanaian footballers trying to reach at the top of European football, Scandinavia became more or less like a realistic first landing spot. Now, if you remember, a few years ago, there were Scandinavian teams all over. And another reason why a lot of Ghanaians follow them is because if you look at the Champions League, there were clubs like Copenhagen, there was Brøndby, and I think Malmo as well. They were regular participants in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers, and then also in the group stages in the 90s, the 2000s, and then the 2010s. For Ghanaian football fans watching the Champions League on TV, you can remember sometimes Copenhagen, upsetting some of the big clubs. There's also Scandinavian teams playing some of the English or Spanish giants. And it made the league more visible to African audiences long before the current Ghanaian pipeline. So the connection is not entirely new. Ghanaians have been watching Scandinavian clubs for over the years before, some years ago in order to gain the exposure. The turning point for me, I think, is the real transformation that came with Ghanaian Academy, Right to Dream Academy. It was founded in Ghana in 1999. And it has become one of Africa's most successful talent development systems. However, the crucial moment was back in 2015 when the academy acquired Danish club FC Nordsjaelland. So this created a direct Ghana to Denmark pathway. Young players could now develop in Ghana, move directly to Denmark, break into European football, and then transfer to top leagues. That pathway produced several stars that became the new school Ghanaian generation in Denmark. Take a look at someone like Mohamed Kudus, perhaps the biggest example. Joined Nordsjaelland from Right to Dream all the way back in 2018 when he was around 17 years. He quickly became one of the league's best young talents. He moved to Ajax in 2020, later played in the Premier League, and now he's a key player of the Black Stars. Denmark was his first European league. Kamaldeen Sulemana is also another perfect example. He is a Right to Dream Academy product. He joined Nordsjaelland in 2020 at age 18. He's probably more explosive, had really good performances in the Danish Superliga, quickly attracted interest from Europe. From there, he moved on to bigger leagues in Europe as well. And so the Ghana-Denmark pipeline has produced a number of players. It's not just Kamaldeen and then Kudus. There's Enes Nuamah, there's Abdul Mumin, there's Ibrahim Osman, there's Isaac Atanga, who was also at Nordsjaelland. There's Ibrahim Sadiq, who is currently at AZ Alkmaar, played at Nordsjaelland. There's Clinton Intri, there's Maxwell Woleji, who now is in MLS, and then there's Abu Francis, who is in League R. Interestingly, at one point, Nordsjaelland had around 8 Ghanaian players in their squad simultaneously, just showing how strong the connection with Ghana is. Now, all following the same Right to Dream to Nordsjaelland Europe model. Earlier, Danish League Ghanaian players, that's Godsway Donyo. He also played at Nordsjaelland. There's also Yusuf Chipsa. He played at Midgetland. And then Baba Collins at Midgetland. There's Emmanuel Ajimembedu. Briefly, he was linked to Denmark early in his career pathways. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's Francis Deco, who played for FC Nordsjaelland and Midgetland. Ghanaian players have also played in Sweden, as Sweden also has a long history with some Ghanaian players as well. If you're looking at examples, there's an interesting example actually of Emmanuel Yeboah. If you remember, he played with Ghana's under-20. He's currently on loan with Swedish club Halmstads BK from Danish club Brøndby, and so he's playing at Denmark and Sweden. There's Michael Uso of Malmo, Jalal Abdullahi, who plays straight with Elfsborg. There's Nasir Mohammed, he played for BK Häcken, and then Michael Bedu was also with Elfsborg as well. Benjamin Tete also with BK Häcken, played with the national team. There's Kwame Kizito, who also played with Häcken. Sweden's Allsvenskan has long been attractive for African players because, clubs recruit heavily from West Africa. The league is financially stable, especially for young players. It also offers a stepping stone to the likes of Belgium, Netherlands, and who knows, maybe England. These players were among the early examples of Ghanaian players establishing themselves in Denmark before, the modern academy pipeline. Now, let's talk about the newest generation following the same path. The pipeline hasn't slowed down one bit. In fact, in my opinion, I think it's actually accelerating. Now, two of the newest big names is Caleb Yirenkyi, who's already playing with the Black Stars and is in line to make the World Cup squad. He's a midfielder at FC Nordsjaelland. He's already attracting interest from Premier League clubs. And then there's his compatriot, Prince Amoako. He's a teenage winger. He's also quickly established himself in the Danish Superliga as well. Both of them, like their predecessors, came to Right to Dream and moved to Denmark as teenagers, continuing the same pathway. Now, another young Ghanaian example is Stephen Acquah. You probably haven't heard of him. He's now coming up, also went through the same Right to Dream to Nordsjaelland process. Danish football has been a stepping stone league. If you're looking at the Superliga, it's kind of become like a development hub. Clubs like Nordsjaelland, they focus heavily on youth development and then player trade. And if you're taking a look at their model, they want to sign young players and then give them first team football, and then they sell them to bigger leagues. Over the past decade, the club has generated hundreds of millions in transfer revenue from player sales while nurturing young talent. Now, for Ghanaian players, I think this environment is kind of perfect because it offers less pressure than in big leagues. There's regular playing time, and then there's strong scouting exposure. Now, if you're looking at why the Scandinavia League works so well for Ghanaian players, there are a few reasons, I think. I think that one, there's a clear development pathway, the Right to Dream plus Nordsjaelland experience before you get to a top European league. And then there's the youth-friendly leagues. Danish club, they trust young players at an early stage as compared to other European leagues. And there's less competition for minutes. And so you end up playing game time and you develop much faster. There's also a strong scouting network. Clubs in Holland, Belgium, England, and Germany love to monitor the Scandinavian League closely. If you're taking a look at the bigger picture, I think the Ghana-Scandinavian relationship has evolved into one of the most efficient talent pipelines in world football. Now, what started as occasional Ghanaian players moving to Denmark has now become a structured football bridge between Ghana and then Scandinavia as well. And if you're looking at some of the players like I mentioned, Kudus, Kamaldeen, Nuamah, and now Yirenkyi and Amoako, I think the connection looks even stronger now, more than ever. Now, are Ghanaians actually following the Danish Superliga? I think that's a big yes, and there's evidence attached to it because if you're looking at flash score data, more than 23,000 Ghanaians followed the Danish Superliga in just February 2026 alone. And so that shows that the interest is actually not random. The league now regularly features multiple Ghanaian players and, Ghanaian coaches and scouts, Right to Dream alumni, and so many Ghanaian fans around track matches just to follow their stars abroad. And so if you're summarizing everything, I think for decades, Ghanaian watched Scandinavian clubs in the Champions League, and today they're not just watching them, they're playing for them, and they are actually starring for them and using Denmark and Sweden as the gateway to the biggest stage in world football. My name is Owuraku Ampofo.